My dear President Muhammadu Buhari, peace be unto you. I am constrained to communicate you via an open video because I have tried other means of reaching you in vain. Either two, when you became president, we used to communicate directly by phone. But lately, it's been impossible to reach you. I had to resort to channeling my communication through one trusted aide of yours or the other. Most recently, I sought audience with you to discuss critical issues that border on the security of our country. And it's been close to 2 months now, and I didn't get any response. It's for that reason I decided that I must reach you by every means possible. This is not to make an open publicity for myself. It's because the issues I want to express are agitating my mind. And I consider myself a stakeholder in your administration, as you yourself will agree, because in your quest to become the president of this country, I happen to be one of those who have, been with you in the long walk to the presidency. I think if I say at least since 2006, I've been with you, I will not be wrong. I've served in your presidential campaign councils thrice. I was a pioneer member of the defunct Congress for Progressive Change, and I have series of letters that you used to sign by yourself appointing me to do one thing or the other for the party. And thereafter, after the 2011 election, we started talking about the need to have a strong alliance in the southern part of the country. Thank God, between late 2014 and early 2015, that came to fruition. And I also served in your presidential campaign council there. In 2019, reluctantly, I participated in your presidential campaign council again, courtesy of the vice president, who invited me twice for strategy meetings on the presidential election. When the final details were put into the next level agenda, I was there with him at his residence at Abuja House. So, I consider myself a stakeholder. And people who know me, they have attributed whatever goes wrong or right in your administration as something that I have a hand in. When you do well, they will say, oh, your man is doing, is kudos to your man. And when they feel what you are doing, perhaps it's due to wrong perception. When they feel it's not the best, they also say, see what your man is doing. So, head or tail, I am in this boat with you together, and I don't want this boat to sink. Going straight to the issue of security, I want you to know that it has now become a huge threat to our national unity. Hitherto, we had the challenge to unity being confined to the northeastern part of the country where the Boko Haram insurgency has been ongoing. But lately, you've been hearing of Oduduwa Republic agitators. Prior to that, you've been hearing of IPOB agitators who want Biafra. You've also heard of Niger Delta militants, some of whom were calmed down while the vice president was acting president, because they were also ready to go on the onslaught once again. My worry as a security and defense expert is that if we allow a new front of unity-threatening agitations to erupt in the southern regions of the country, this country will not survive it. I am presently Director, Center for Contemporary Security Affairs of Igbinedion University, Okada, which is an initiative I conceived, supported by my university, and given tremendous boost by the Nigerian military, among whom I've been a teacher in some of their colleges and have been a researcher. I contribute regularly to Nigerian military journals. The essence of that center, where I am now, is to research into contemporary security challenges of Nigeria primarily, and Africa in general, and then the world, where there is global interconnection. And what I am saying, as a result of close observance and analysis of trends in our country today, security and defense-wise, are really, really unsettling. We are at a stage where all you need is what is called, in conflict analysis, a trigger. And this whole country will go up in flames. Conflict escalation is a progressive thing. It's not the day that people start telling you they want to leave the country that they will start shooting guns or throwing bombs. When people express their frustrations or they issue threats, sometimes it's because the leader is not listening. In our party manifesto, the APC manifesto, the core manifesto is restructuring. And restructuring is not a terminology that has any region of the country in mind. It's about rearranging the structures of governance in such a way that it will be profitable to everyone, from north to south, east to west. For example, you look at the issue of securing this country. Except those who want to live in a dreamland, the Nigerian police force, so-called, cannot adequately protect this country today internally. And that is why a lot of military joint task force are here and there. There is hardly a state in Nigeria where you don't have military joint task force. That tells us that we need to do a rethink on the issue of policing. And people who are well-meaning, who are knowledgeable in these matters, have suggested state police, just as some have also opposed it, that it could lead to balkanization. Some people might want to use the state police as a disguise to break the country. I want to ask a question. When the Niger Delta militants were waging a serious guerrilla warfare in their marine terrain, in the marine terrain of the Niger Delta, against the authority of the federal government, such that they reduced oil production per day from over 2 million barrels to about 800,000 barrels before President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua called for a truce. Were they hiding under any state police in any of the Niger Delta states? No. So they were able to prove their mettle to the point that President Yar'Adua had to call for a truce, because the federal government was the losing side, regardless of the enormous deployment of military to that region. He declared a presidential amnesty program, and that was what restored normalcy to that troubled region. He also created a ministry of the Niger Delta. So at the end of the day, what brought peace wasn't using the military. It was the negotiation table that brought the peace we enjoy in the Niger Delta. So the Nigerian police force today, a huge chunk of the funds that runs its affairs, even in the states, come from the state governments. They buy them patrol vehicles, motorbikes, they buy them boots, they buy them raincoats, they buy them torchlights, and all sorts of things. Many a times when you have cases with the police and they need to go somewhere far, they require you to even fuel their vehicle. It's not necessarily because they are corrupt, but because they are inadequately funded. Does it then not make sense to say states establish state police? A lot of people have said it. It's been a recurrent issue. But up to now, even when the Southwest states tried to resort to self-help because of the clamor of their people, when bandits invaded their forests and they made the major roads in this part of the country and our farmlands a no-go area. People were being kidnapped, people were being raped, people were being killed, and people were almost resorting to self-help, gathering whatever arms they could on their own. The state governors were agitated and they said they had to do something. Whether the federal government will agree or not, we have to. It is better we have something we can control than allowing everybody to resort to self-help. It will help nobody. We did not get any meaningful support from the federal government other than opposition. The Attorney General spoke against it. The Inspector General suddenly woke up and started talking about community policing, which in reality means nothing. So I just cite this as an example. Nations like other organisms undergo changes in terms of their growth. When you are rearing a broiler in poultry, what they call broiler, there is what you call broiler starter. Broilers growers mash, then broilers finisher. The same thing with a country. What is good at a particular stage of development in a country? Our population is ballooning. We are over 200 million now. And then you still say only the federal government must control the police. Sir, it's not going to work anymore. And I'm talking to you as your friend, your supporter over the years, and as an expert in this matter. It's not going to work. Ours is the only federation in the world, please ask those who know, that runs a unitary police system. When you talk of federalism, federalism also entails decentralization in security matters. You call this state police, the governors, chief security officer of their states, and they do not have any security instrument under their control. All those arguments about state governors going to abuse state police, sir, there will be guidelines. Licenses for state police can be withdrawn. The control and command of state police where it's being abused can be taken over by the Inspector General of Police, subject to the consideration and approval of what would be a National Police Commission that would have stakeholders from the states and the federal, where they see that you are abusing the state the police under your control and command as a state governor. There will be consequences. There will be criminal liability. So let nobody scare us about the propensity for abuse. And then as a result of that, we make light of the serious issue of protecting lives and property. I just use that as an illustration, sir. There are so many other issues that are begging for attention. And my candid advice to you is that you should convene a kind of consultation. I don't want to say national conference. I don't want to say sovereign national conference. I know that there are some conservative forces who will be telling you we have the National Assembly there. Sir, every assembly convened since 1999 have met to discuss constitutional reforms. All of them have not made further headway because the very constitution itself makes it so cumbersome to bring any fundamental amendment to it. So it will take more than hiding under the umbrella of constitutional procedure for effecting fundamental changes to save this country now. You are the chief executive of state. You are the chief of state, and there is enormous power under your control. If you make up your mind that this is what you want, President Buhari, a lot of people respect you. A lot of people will readily reason with you when you are doing the right thing. And I believe members of the National Assembly, state assemblies across the Federation, if you persuade them and say, let's do this thing to bring peace, to re-energize our unity and fraternity as a people, they will do it. But if you continue to see those who, out of their concern, people who ordinarily don't talk, who ordinarily don't lend their voice to anything political, some of them clergymen, highly respected clergymen, if you take them as people that like you take them as opposition forces, that would be a very unfortunate stance on the grave situation we are in right now. I want you to assume that role of the father of the nation and call everybody to a round table. When we come to a round table and we are talking to each other, instead of shouting at each other, instead of issuing releases and insulting one another, then we will be able to understand each other better. We may even realize that the way some people are expressing certain things that they say they want is what is giving you a wrong interpretation of what they actually want. Because when they now sit down with you, they can make further clarification and you discover that you are on the same page and whatever they are even saying may even be far better for you. I remember a very prominent northerner who has been very consistent in supporting the call for restructuring, saying that restructuring will even profit the northern states of the country better. And I cannot agree more. You have gold in Zamfara, a very high-grade gold in commercial quantities, something that is one of the things that a country like South Africa used to launch itself into a modernization. And yet, Zamfara is one of the poorest spots in the world today, not just in Nigeria. When they say Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, a lot of where they are talking about is in the north. And the northern states are heavily endowed with all these precious minerals. Kebbi has uranium. When you talk of being a superpower, if you do not have nuclear arsenal, you cannot claim to be one. And what do they use to attain that status? Is uranium. It's in Kebbi. They also use it to generate what is called clean power, clean electricity. But all the control over those resources are in Abuja. Will it not be better if the governor of Zamfara can issue mining licenses, can take full charge of those mineral resources, call investors, rather than going through a long bureaucracy in Abuja that discourages everyone? After they've gone to Abuja, then they come and meet the challenges of the local populace where they want to do business. No investor will go through that in a world of alternatives, in a world of competition for capital inflow. So I want to beg you, if we don't do something right now, we are talking of 2023. I am not too sure we are going to get there. And to think that maybe we have a robust security apparatus, I don't think we do, sir. The military is overwhelmed. They are our friends. We sit down and brainstorm on security in academic fora. I've supervised a number of your generals who undertook doctoral degree programs under me. They present papers every now and then. We go to Njenje to teach and all that. We do research for the military colleges. And I know that we do not have enough military men. We do not have enough police. And our population is growing. And that is why many of our ungoverned spaces are being populated by bandits from every part of the world. And the earlier you realize that if we don't do something fast and we allow new openings of insurgency to sprout aside the Northeast that we've been trying to tackle for over a decade now, Nigeria will be gone. Nigeria will be gone. No military will be able to contain what will happen. And don't think that it is until you see people showing up with arms and ammunition, that is when you have a security breach. A lot of people are annoyed. Many of those talking of Oduduwa Republic today, they were people rooting for restructuring before. But because of the impervious attitude of your administration to what happens to be a core element of your own party's manifesto, that they are driven into that extreme. That, okay, if you do not want us to have a better country, then we can go for a country of our own. And some of us that are even trying to moderate their stance, it's getting to a point now where it's becoming very dangerous and risky to start talking of even restructuring in certain fora in Yoruba land. They see you as a saboteur, they see you as a mole, they see you as a bastard. So it will be a nice thing if we can reinvent this country and rejig it and make it more functional, more profitable for every one of us. It's a gift from God. And if we are not careful, it will be taken away from us. God bless you, President Muhammadu Buhari. Long live Federal Republic of Nigeria.